guys, my name's Christina. I am a backyard gardener here in Zone 8A in South Arkansas, and I wanted to welcome you to my garden. Now this is my second year gardening. I gardened last year in one raised bed, a 4 foot by 12 foot by 18 inches tall. I started my first garden last year in that garden bed, and I had, I started off with 6 tomato plants and I ended up with 4, and I had maybe 4 or 5 bell pepper plants. I had 3 basil plants and some onions that I started from onion sets and not onion slips or seed. And I think that's all I had last year, but it was an abundant amount of food that was produced for our family. And so this year I have really, or over the course of the last year, I have really started doing a lot more research into how to grow food and the things that grow well in my area and things that I could grow for our family. And so I decided this year I wanted to increase our beds to 6 raised beds, and they are 4 foot wide by 12 foot long, and the new ones are only 12 inches deep. And I've already learned, I've had these for about 2 months, and I've already learned that I really like the 18-inch deep ones better. My husband constructed them for me. We used plans that were available on growingagreenerworld.com by Joe Lample, or Joe Gardner as I like to call him, and I'll leave a link to that below. These are made out of 6-inch by 6-inch cedar planks that we were able to have milled at a local sawmill down the road, which was really fantastic because we got a good wholesale price on them, but they were still expensive. I'm not gonna lie about that. So we have our 6 raised beds this year. We have 2 small flower planter boxes that have mainly perennials in them. They have hyacinth bulbs and jonquil bulbs or daffodil bulbs. We have paper white lily bulbs that did not produce this year. I have some lilies, a couple of lilies in there. And if you saw the intro to this video, you would see my 3 rose bushes. They're little teeny tiny rose bushes. They're a knockout rose. And as you could tell, they have a cage around them, and that's because we have a lot of deer here. And I learned the hard way last year that deer really love roses. They're like candy to them. And so I had those beautiful cages around my rose bushes, and that really led me on the journey to trying to plant things that are deer resistant. Now of course when you're talking about the vegetable garden, you're not going to be planting things that are deer resistant. I understand that. And it was so odd because last year we had a baby deer. Okay, these trees right here, this pine thicket, a mama deer gave birth in those trees last year, and she moved that baby because what they do is they have the baby somewhere and then they move them within 24 hours to get them away from the birth site of the smell and things like that, like from predators. So she moved that baby deer right behind this gate. Okay, it was down here. I'll try to put a picture in. Me and my daughter came out to the garden in like the late morning in June of last year, and we were in the garden and I was sitting there weeding or whatever I was doing, and my small toddler daughter said, "Mama, what is that?" And of course I thought it was a snake or something. That's what we have a lot around here. And so I looked and I said, "What are you talking about?" And she pointed, and I looked and I was like, "That's a new baby deer." And it was just had its nose in the corner, and it was just as quiet as it could be. It was not moving a muscle, and that's what it's supposed to do, because it's not supposed to draw attention to itself. It's supposed to lay there and be still and be quiet until mama comes back in the evening. So generally the mom will be about 100 yards away or so eating or whatever, and they stay away from the baby for the predator issue. And so of course we didn't touch it. You don't touch a baby deer if it's laying down. Don't pick it up. Don't call the animal control people, even if you live in the city. Like, just leave it alone, leave it there. And I feel that way about all little babies that you may find, baby animals, not baby humans, but baby animals. And So we left it there, but of course I checked on it all day long. The sun had come down, you know, over here, and it was like beating right on the baby, and I was afraid it was gonna get hot. And so I came up slowly and just kind of put a chair to, it's the only thing I had to like just create shade, but it was a chair up tall off the ground, and the mama could still see underneath it, you know, see the baby was still there, because I knew she was just right around here. So my point to all this is saying that this mama had her baby in these trees, hid the baby over here in the garden. They never touched my garden all year long. They did not touch one single thing besides the roses, but the vegetable garden, they didn't touch a thing. And I don't know if it was because they're good deer or because they didn't like the basil or the marigold that are supposed to be like deer repellent, so that's why one reason why I planted them. However, this year I haven't had anything eating on anything yet, but the other evening about this time, we had the mama deer. We called them the mama deer and the baby deer. She's not a baby anymore, she's a year-old now, but they still hang out together, they still stay together, and we see them come in our front yard and they eat the grass and whatever they're eating. So we saw the mama deer and the baby deer in the front yard, and the kids wanted to come out, and they stand on the porch and the deers eat. It is the coolest thing. They don't run off. You know, of course, if we got off the porch and went after them, they would kind of just walk off, but it's really neat. Anyway, so we saw them out in the front yard. Well, my husband looked out toward the garden, and there was another mama deer and another baby deer, and they were running out of the garden, out of the vegetable garden, into the backfield, which is not good. So I was like, oh no, because I thought maybe I lucked out and they don't like my garden, right? I don't know. So I came back here the next day, and all I saw was one hoof print in the mud. It had been raining, and nothing was eaten. So I'm really, really hopeful that we're not going to have deer this year. We have deer of course on our property, but we're hopefully not going to have deer eating up our garden and stuff like that. But back to what I was saying, that has all led me to really looking for deer resistant perennials and flowers and things. And so when I'm doing my research, especially for flowers and things like that, I really go into the varieties that are quoted as deer resistant, whether they really are or not. Just to, you know, keep my sanity. But anyway, I wanted to welcome you to my garden. Like I said, I'm just a backyard gardener. I practice organic, natural gardening practices. This is really just kind of a hobby. I am working towards growing a year's worth of food for our family and start to can and stuff like that. Never canned. Most anything that I do preserve from the garden, I freeze it. I cut it up and freeze it and use it throughout the year as I need it. So those are my goals. There are a lot of YouTube channels that I watch that have really lovely gardens, and when they do a garden tour, it is so much more than what I'm doing. So it's almost a little discouraging and thinking that, like, you know, my garden is kind of puny. But I really want to document this, not only, well, for myself. I want to document year for year what my garden looks like, what worked, what didn't work. And if there's anyone out there who is a beginner gardener or who wants to be to start gardening and doesn't know much about it, I just want them to come on here and see, you know, what is doable, you know, for a stay-at-home mom who, you know, is busy all the time, you know, like a lot of people are. So yeah, so that's my hope, is that you will enjoy my little garden as much as I do, and hopefully we can plant things and grow things together and see it in its beautiful fruition. And I hope that you would get a blessing from this as well as I do. So like I mentioned, I have these two flower boxes here. These are our perennial flowers. I believe these at the front here were the jonquils. Those in the back are the hyacinths. And with these being perennial bulbs, they will flower and then they will die back. As you see here, these are dead flowers, okay? And for the perennial bulbs, you want to leave them, as maybe unsightly as they are, they don't bother me, but you want to leave them and leave their greenery out so that absorb sunlight and do photosynthesis. But what they're doing is they're storing energy for next year's bulbs. So if you were to come and cut this down on purpose or by accident, it would not produce, it would either not produce flowers at all, or it would just not produce very many flowers. And I've had that happen. These bulbs used to be in an in-ground flower bed, and my husband would unintentionally whack them down. And I think that's what happened with these. These are paper white lilies, and they came up like this, but they never flowered this year. So I'm just letting them hang out and store up their energy, and hopefully they'll produce flowers for us next year. That's our hope. What I really want to do is, so you see this gate? Right here behind the gate in the crevice was that deer. And I didn't even see it because it was laying so low. It was laying below that piece of wood down there, that plank down there. It was the most magnificent thing I've ever seen. Well, I can't really say that because I've had children, but it was amazing. It was amazing. But my plan, I really want to plant along this fence line, put in a flower box, maybe not as wide as this one, maybe more, probably half the width, but longer, and do it all along this fence line and plant sunflowers in it. That's my end goal for that. But this first bed right here is the 18-inch bed. You can tell it has 3 6-inch planks. That's how you know it's the 18-inch one. The other ones only have 2 6-inch planks. And this one is more of a gray color. They are cedar, like I stated previously, but as the cedar ages, it turns a gray color, whereas you can tell the other ones are more of the kind of reddish cedar color. And they are turning gray because they've been out here. They do look pretty gray, actually. But this right here is my little garlic patch. I've only got about 20 garlic cloves in here. And that was just my estimate on how much garlic I actually use in a year. This particular variety of garlic is a Hardneck variety of garlic. Now, Hardneck varieties of garlic are normally grown by people who live in the north. In the south, where I live, most people grow a softneck garlic. The only difference that I know of, I know that they do have some differences in their storing abilities. Like, I think the Hardneck garlic stores better if you're going to try to store it, like, you know, fresh. But the only other difference that I know about the Hardneck garlic and the softneck garlic is that the Hardneck garlic produces escape. And so, in the middle of this garlic, it's supposed to send off a round, scallion looking type green scape, is what they call it. And at the end of it, it will have a flower bud. And if you don't pull it out, the flower will bloom and it won't put as much energy into producing the bulbs. So I planted this garlic, this hardneck garlic versus a softneck garlic, for the pure fact that that's all I could find this year. And that was, I mean, it's all right with me. Garlic is garlic. I mean, I know there is a little bit difference in taste, but it was fine for me. So I'm waiting for my scapes to come up so I can pick those, and then maybe by June, I don't really know, maybe these will be ready to harvest. And so when you harvest those, you pull them up out of the ground, you kind of shake the dirt off of them, don't wash them, don't get them wet. You lay them out in a cool, shaded, dry place where they get good ventilation. You lay them out for, I don't know, I've never done it, but I'm gonna say like 10 to 14 days or something, and you let them cure. And once they're completely dried and cured, you can either braid the stalks. If you leave them, they'll be like a brown, yellow, dried up color and texture. You braid those, or you can just cut the foliage off, leaving quite a bit of room at the neck of the garlic. and then store them that way in a cool, dry place over winter. So that's our garlic. This is our Butter King head lettuce. I'm so excited about this. I don't know if y'all can tell. This is really getting ahead on it. I've got several of them here. This is some old spinach. This is a newer spinach, but it's getting old as well. Our salad mix, and I will put a link in the description below of all of these varieties and seeds, where I bought them from and what they're called. This is our carrots. It's kind of a small patch, but I'm happy with it. This is a Rutabaga that's still growing. It's a Nasturtium flower, kale. These are our broccoli. Walk around this trellis here. Our broccoli are making little heads on them. They're actually kind of big. I mean, that's pretty decent size, I guess. It's like one floret. Alright, let's look. We have some new developments. We have our cucumbers coming up. Here and here. And those are on this side of a trellis. You see here. So I'm hoping they'll grow up this trellis here. And we'll be able to harvest cucumbers pretty easily. We also have a new development. Our peppers. We got all of our peppers planted. We started all of these from seed. And y'all look at this beautiful marigold. Is this not gorgeous? It's like a deep dark red, and then it's like golden on the bottom. I love that. That is from the Sparky mix from Heavenly Seed Company, I think is it called? I told you I would link this below. But look, our peppers are putting on their little white blooms. And here's our Cherokee purple tomatoes. See, this one has a nice big sucker on it. He beat me. I don't think I'll cut him off. We have some blossoms. Another marigold. I wanted to show you this peppers in here. Let's see. Okay, right here. So I planted two different types of, started two different types of pepper. One of them is a California bell pepper, and one of them is a pepperoncini pepper. And I, of course, did not label these because I just wasn't paying attention at the time. But if you see here, the way that this pepper looks, it's kind of long and skinny and kind of shriveled. I believe this is a pepperoncini pepper, because this, a bell pepper to look like when it is developing. You see, it's quite wider. Let's see. It's quite a bit wider and shorter, and it'll grow, but I think those are the two differences that we can make a determination. Okay, so this is our second bed. We of course have more cucumbers on this side. Same hope, so that they'll grow up the trellis. We have our peppers that need some stakes added to them. And look at this marigold. I know it looks like the other one, but it's so beautiful. I just love it. It just looks like velvet. I love that. Okay, let's see. These are our triple L crop tomatoes. I don't know if I like them. This one right here is not a triple L crop. This is a Arkansas Traveler tomato. And I grew this one last year. It was alright. Okay, so these are our green beans. Lots of green bean sprouts. Got our basil in here. This is it's either a Genovese basil or it's a lemon basil. One of the two. I planted both. We have a lot of our little green beans. These are our purple Hull peas in the next bed. You see we kind of got them tucked in here. This right here is a zinnia sprout. Over here is a marigold. I came in here and direct sowed these marigolds and zinnias. But everything else, well, the purple Hull peas too, but the pepper plants, I started those inside. So we have more peppers, tomatoes I started, marigolds I started, basil I started. These are our Roma tomatoes. And guys, I was right. I don't need to be pruning the suckers off of these Roma tomatoes. I think the reason that these look so much better and more healthy than the other ones is just because they are getting on the ball. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing and just growing, growing, growing. So what I can do is trim off some leaves, the leaves that aren't necessarily suckers. And let me show you what a sucker is. Okay. You see this? Let's see. This right here, coming from the ground, this is the stalk, the main stem of the tomato plant, okay? It's growing up. You got leaves coming off here, coming off here, coming off here. Those are just leaves, okay? And they need those for photosynthesis. But if you look in the armpit or the crotch, in between the stalk and the leaf, you see this right here, and that is a sucker. You come up here, leaf, stalk, sucker. Okay? Now most people pinch the suckers off. Well, I say most people. If you're going to single prune, if you're going to prune to a single stem, you want to pinch the suckers off. If you're growing a determinate tomato, do not pinch the suckers off. Because what they do, there's another one. Right there. So what they do is they produce a whole nother stem with more blossoms and more tomatoes. And if you prune those off of your determinate tomatoes, you will not get your optimal harvest. Those plants are looking really good though. I wanted to show you guys. I still need to, we've probably gotten 4 inches of rain in the last 2 days. Once all this dries out, I'm gonna get this big pile of dirt and shovel it over here and probably plant some more sunflowers. I planted some sunflowers kind of in between these hills, and some of them are sprouting. My children end up walking through here, so I'm not happy about that. Okay, let's see. This is our gourds. I think I showed you in last week's video how I showed you planting them. So this is a week later. We'll say 8 days later. This is our butternut squash. Oh, here's some sunflowers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, hopefully they'll make it. This is our blaze pumpkin. 2 of those. This is our Blue Bayou pumpkin. And I really hope to get some of these. I don't know if y'all can tell, all these seedlings look the same. It's because they're in the Curcumin family. Butternut squash. This is considered a winter squash, but winter squash is grown in the summer. It just lasts longer through the winter. Look at our watermelons. You know, I started these indoors under grow lights, and I moved them out here and transplanted them last weekend. And aren't they looking great? I'm so excited, and I hope that they do well. I am noticing some black spots on them. It's probably related to the rain, maybe like a bacterial or fungal issue there. So we'll hope that it goes away. This is our little okra patch and sunflower. Oh, look. Does that mean it's about to give me a sunflower? These plants are not very big. I get that. And here's our okra sprouts. That one already has bug damage on it. This one, okay, this is what okra looks like when it comes up. At least this is the Clemson Spineless variety. And I did have a wise friend tell me that his daddy did not plant okra around here until mid-May. But we'll see. Planted some more sunflower seeds to be plugged in between these more mature plants. They're coming up. And look. Hopefully we'll have some sunflowers. This is my onion bed. I just made a video about topping my onions and I fertilized them. And y'all, I don't know if y'all can see in there. I don't think I did a very good job of topping them because look at all of those big long stems falling over. Case in point, right there. So I'm gonna have to come back in here, trim them down again, hopefully do a better job. I really need to come in here, spoon around them. I started doing it last night, it started raining on me. You can see how this is falling over. I don't like that. I don't think that's normal. Maybe I'm taking, see how that root is exposed? I don't think that's right. I need to, in fact, tuck that in. Supposedly, you know, and I believe this, that you want to take away the extra dirt and soil that's around your onion because you see right here, you see how this one is starting to bulb right here? If it has much resistance, it won't bulb out very much. So the idea is that you take away the soil or spoon around it from the neck of the onion to give it more room to bulb out. See, like this one, I don't think this one has been spooned around. So what I do is just come in here, take my finger or spoon, remove that dirt, but not totally uncover the plant. And you usually have to take this dirt and put it somewhere. I'll just leave it right there for now. But so yeah, I need to do that, but do it carefully. And it's all a learning lesson, you know. My first year trying to grow onions like this, and I did start these from seed, so I am proud of them. I just hope I can keep them alive. We have apple blossom snapdragons growing in there. Oh, let me comment. The reason that I have this insect netting, this is insect netting that I have draped over here. This is just PVC pipe that we have cut to a certain length, and we just have it shoved down in the soil. It's probably not the best thing to do. That's just what we've done. But we have this insect netting on it to keep the cabbage moth from laying its eggs on my onions this year. As you can tell, we have a nice healthy ant pile in there. Yay. I'm not going to worry about it right now. It's not bothering anything. So we'll just leave it there. But look at this nasturtium. Isn't that great? I grew this from seed. The last thing we're going to look at is our potatoes. Don't these potatoes look fabulous? I'm kind of nervous. Never grown potatoes before, but so I don't know. I just hope they do well and they produce for us. If y'all saw my video about my top 5 favorite garden bugs, you'll see one right there. A spider. You go, spider. Alright guys, so thank you for joining me in my garden today. Hopefully you got some insights on what things look like as they're growing, and I hope that you'll stick around to see the rest of the garden this year. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.